Alright, so today I'm going to go ahead and talk about one of my favorite games, Flames of War. Now, this is a version 4 rulebook, and although I've been playing the game since 2nd edition, I've been playing a lot more version 4 lately, and for what it has and for how it plays, version 4 is good. I mean, enough changes happen to the rules and to what's available to work with that we can actually have some genuine fun with version 4 Flames of War. Even though I'm playing a lot more games and I'm enjoying version 4, there are what the fuck moments that happen compared to what I expect tanks or infantry or aircraft to do versus what I'm used to seeing also in older editions. So there's more than one way for me to have this moment when it comes to playing Flames of War. I know it's a new edition. I know things have changed, and I know that the rules were designed there for a very specific reason. But that doesn't stop these moments from happening. So let's go ahead and talk about some of these moments in Flames of War version 4. The first one I want to talk about is the ubiquitous cross check. We used to have something similar in version 3. It was a bog check. You rolled a dice on a 1, you were bogged down. If you were an overloaded vehicle, you bogged down a 1 or a 2. And if you were wide-tracked, you got to bog down on a 1 and then save yourself on a 4+. So it was less than a roll of a 1 that allowed you to actually bog down in version 3 and previous in this game. Every tank kind of rolled equally, where you just rolled the d6 and prayed it wasn't a 1 for the most part. And here in Flames of War, we have a cross check. It is a 3+ to cross something when you're rolling the dice in the new version of Flames of War. That pretty much means dice-wise, the chance of your tank bogging down was the same of it having been overloaded in the previous editions. In the new edition, you can still shoot. There's things you can do while you're bogged down at the edge of the wood after failing a cross check. However, there's something about these cross checks. If you didn't want Panzer IVs, for example, is you could switch them out for Stugs. But Stugs have something unique and different. Stugs have a cross value of 4+. That means they bog down 50% of the time. Now, they can still shoot, but they're forward firing. So it's going to be limited compared to a tank with a turret. The Stug used to be identical to a thing called the Panzerjäger 4. We go to the back of the book here, and lo and behold, Panzerjäger 4 with a cross value of 3+. It's got the stats you would expect out of a Stug, but it's a Jagdpanzer 4. And there's no way to field these as a company either. I guess I could Photoshop them and just, because of the same point values, I could just run them that way. And that's not the funniest thing. In Team Yankee, we have the T-54 that has very horrible cross value because it's an old tank that's been given additional armor, and it hasn't had very many upgrades. This is Fate of a Nation, which has the brand new version of the same tank. The brand new version of the T-54 also has a 4+ cross value. And look at that thing. It's got wide tracks. Why does it have a 4+? I can understand if the old version had a 4+. It made sense then. But this is a brand new tank. I mean, the T-54 was not known for having a really bad suspension either. It had other problems instead. I'm just kind of confused about what really gets what for a cross value. And let's say you're looking at the cross value of a Tiger tank in this game. That big heavy tank with its wide tracks is a 2+. And given the suspension looks very similar to a T-54, you might expect it in the T-54 to have very similar cross values. Now here's something else I'm going to point out about the Germans when it comes to late war and Flames of War. In the new version of Flames of War, we actually have more advanced movement rules than we used to have. I mean, here we have a Panzer III chassis, a Panzer IV chassis, a Panzer IV chassis, a Tiger chassis, and a Panther chassis, right? The Stug moves Tactical 10, Terrain-12, Cross-Country 11, Road-20. The Tiger moves Tactical 10, Terrain-12, Cross-Country 18, Road-20. The Panther is the only thing different that I'm going to mention. 10, 14, 20, and 24. So the Panther is different. The Panzer IV is 10, 12, 18, 20. The Mobilwagen, 10, 12, 18, 20. I'm not going to count the half tracks because I understand they have a different movement value. 10, 12, 16, 18 with a 4+. Ah, the Griller is weighed down and is slower. So there I am stymied. Although my point is almost made. Of course, the Jagdpanzer has similar stats to a Stug. The Wesp has 10, 12, 18, 20. The Hummel has 10, 14, 18, 20. For some reason, it gets faster through terrain than the average Panzer IV it's based on. That may actually be a typo, but the Hummel is actually better at terrain when it comes to dashing. When you go through most of the different marks of tanks that are available in late war, they have the exact same marks of 10, 12, 18, and 20 for the fully tracked armored vehicles. The Panther is an exception, the Griller is an exception, and the Hummel is probably an exception because it's based on the Panzer IV, yet it has better movement ratings than the Panzer IV does. So the movement ratings all being pretty much identical for most German armor, with the exception of the Panther. It's kind of weird that that many different chassis have identical movement rates. Now, we can compare that with the British or the Americans or the Soviets. They have different ones. Their tanks are all different. Their heavy tanks move slower. Their fast tanks move faster. They have the T-34. T-34 is an amazing tank, but they all have different movement values. Where for some reason, all the movement values of the German tanks in late war are just about identical. Finally, one thing I'm going to point out, I've always loved aircraft. I like having aircraft in my lists, and I like playing with aircraft. They've always been kind of a pain in the butt to work with. And in 4th edition, to fight. Most aircraft don't have stats like this. It saves on a 2+. And I do believe that you have to make firepower checks to bring it down afterwards. It is hit on a 4+, which is about even Steven. Compare that to the Thunderbolt. That's a normal aircraft. Hit on a 5+, saves on a 3+, so it's just as tough as infantry. The only downfall is that sucker has to roll to get in. Once he rolls to get in, he can move anywhere on the board he wants to. And you can now roll 3 up on a die to just ignore being hit by an anti-aircraft weapon. Got news for you. Aircraft have become invincible tanks. They're as tough as flying infantry. Now, I have no problem with aircraft being hit on a 5+ or 4+. I have no problem with an aircraft having a save of like 5+ or 4+. 3+ or 2+ is insane, though. That's like an armored save that you get from having a crappy gun go up against a well-armored vehicle. That was kind of shocking. So aircraft are good in 4th edition, and they're very hard to take down. I haven't seen very many aircraft get shot down at all, actually, because they save all the damn time. When it comes to the new edition of Flames of War, there's just a few moments I've come across where I've looked at the rules as they operate, and I've gone, the hell? That's my WTF moments for Flames of War that I've spotted so far. I'm pretty sure you as a player have had different moments, but when I play, I've noticed those. That the aircraft are invincible, you bog down more often than you do in previous versions, and the Germans, for some reason, have homogeneous movement ratings on their tanks, which, by the way, isn't true in mid-war. The Tiger actually moves slower in mid-war. I just want to talk for a little about Flames of War and mention a few things I saw that just made me go, huh? I do like this game. I do play it. And I'd recommend you play Flames of War too. But the game has some weird things sometimes. Get some air support and be prepared for some very strange stuff when it comes to trying to move through terrain. Thanks for watching my video, and have a great day.